You're listening to the Run the Riot podcast, where we talk about all things ultra running. I'm your host, David Terrio, and man, I'm pumped that you are here. Let's see what we can get into today. Hey there, my friends. Welcome to this week's Midweek Motivation from the Run the Riot podcast. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about something that's not going to be as motivational. It's a little more practical, because sometimes we forget some of the things that we know, but we just forget. We get stuck in a rut and we start just doing things, and sometimes we just need reminders. I know I need reminders of things. And today's the name of the podcast is to try it now or regret it later. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about your long run. Now, I've said this plenty of times before, especially to my the runners that I coach, is your long run is a dress rehearsal for your race. You should think of your long runs as just a dress rehearsal. Now you see, when we talk about long runs, man, long runs are just kind of they're just gritty, it's not those where we get our, halfway or 3/4 into a long run. It's not where we get our Instagram worthy pictures necessarily, or it's not as flashy as those finish line photos. It doesn't have all the race day energy and cowbells and people cheering and all that, but we're just talking about the grind, those long runs that just get long. Some Saturdays, man, we're out there clicking 20, 25, 30, sometimes even more miles. And it's just a random Saturday morning. It's not special race day. It's just Saturday morning. It's week 15 of my 20-week training build. And it's just, I got to get up and do it. So, we need to, why are we doing that? And one of the reasons, of course, we're building fitness. Of course, we're building endurance. Of course, we're preparing our bodies to be able to have the adaptations to handle the long runs and everything. But one of the main things that we need to remember is our long run is a dress rehearsal for race day. So I just want to talk a little bit about it. Just want to unpack it a little bit. Just want to remind you, Saturday's coming, and if you got a long run, it's your dress rehearsal. So let's put on your dress and rehearse, all right? So the first thing is we got to test everything before it counts. If something is not going to work, you want to know about it before race day, because you're putting in all this work to get ready for race day. You've put all this money, sometimes your travel, and all of this. You need to make sure it's going to work. That gear that you're planning to wear on race day, don't save it to race day. Don't wait till race day to find out if those shorts are going to chafe you, or if that new pack is going to ride weird and drive you nuts for 100 miles. Use your long run to test everything. What are you testing? Well, I want to test my socks. I want to make sure I don't have any weird blisters. They don't ride up funny. They don't do something funny in that they absorb my sweat well enough. They fit in my shoes right. You've heard me say on ultras, especially 100 milers, I wear Injinji socks or the Exo toes, because I like to keep them separated. My toes, got to keep them separated. They rub up against each other, they start getting blisters. All right, you don't want to discover that on race day. Try those things out, man. Or the way you tape up your toes to separate them so they don't blister. Some people don't wear the toe socks because they freak them out for some reason, so they tape their test how you want to tape up your toes. Your shoes, man. Don't bust out a new. Now listen, I've done this one time. I've done this two times because I knew I've been able to open up a new pair of shoes on race day, and that's with the Ultra Olympus. I knew, and I had actually tried them on first to make sure there were no defects or whatever, but I could wear those, bust them out on race day and wear them. But for the most part, don't try anything new on race day, new shoes, and you want to break in your shoes and get a few miles in them beforehand, just to make sure there's no issues. And that they're going to work for you, especially if it's a brand you've never tried before, a model you've never tried before, or an upgrade to an existing model. Man, try your shoes out. Get some miles in them. Get 30, 40, 50 miles in them. Make sure it's good on the terrain that you're going to run in. So try those out. Try your shoes out. Try your shorts out. Like I said, you don't want chafing. Oh, man, these shorts chafe, and you stuck with them until you can get a gear change at mile 50, No, just test those things out. Wear your shorts, wear your fuel belt or your vest or your handhelds. Make sure it's going to work with you. You practice with that. Make sure your vest has pockets for everything that you're going to need to carry. Make sure there's no weird rubbing or chafing, and either change the pack or tape something up or change the fit. Figure it out before race day, because you're going to have enough to worry about on race day. So test out your fuel belt, test out your vest. Make sure you can carry everything. Even test out your anti-chafe routine. You know, what you're going to do beforehand, before the chafe starts. Now, while I'm writing this, my boy Nick Fowler is out there working on a FKT on the PCT, and my boy's having some chafe issues. But I know he did he was proactive about it, but he's still having some chafe issues. So Nick, I hope you're figuring it out, man. But sometimes when you do something big like that, you know, you face things that you just can't prepare for, or you prepare as best as you can, and you still have issues. So that's even in a 100-mile race. You can prepare as well as you can, which you should, and head off the things that you know you can head off, so that when the unknown happens, you can deal with that. So race day is for racing. It's not for discovering. It's not for, discovering something new. It's for racing. And so, if you show up at a race with a new hydration vest or something like that, no, you can't do that. You can't. So I remember, and I know this, and this is why I say we all need reminders. This was a few years back when I was Cliff Pittman was coaching me at the time, and he was pacing me, and I had turned my ankle in training. And I was doing the Love It 100, and the tagline for it is ankles of steel and an iron will, because there's some rocky sections on the course. And so, man, I was so in my head about my ankle. I did not want to turn my ankle again. So I bought this ankle brace, this ankle sleeve, and I was thinking about wearing it for the race. And so it was a Friday night start for the Love It. Now they do a Saturday start, but I'm sitting there, just getting ready and everything. And I said, man, I wonder if I should wear this ankle brace. I wonder if I should wear this ankle brace for the race. And I said, Cliff, should I wear this ankle brace for the race? And Cliff said, have you trained in it at all? And I said, no, I just got it. He said, nothing new on race day. And I knew that. I knew it. But and I didn't, and I was fine. It was just all in my head about it. And everybody, we get in our head about stuff, especially race week. So it happens. So don't do that to yourself, man. I could have put that thing on, and it could have chafed the bottom of my foot in a weird spot, and I could have had blisters, and I could have had all kind of issues. Instead, I did well, and I had a great race. I placed second. I was hoping to win it, but I couldn't catch first place. He was a beast. So anyway, nothing new on race day, man. And so use your Saturday as a dress rehearsal. Test those things out. The second thing, practice not only your gear, but the second thing, practice your fueling. Not just what you're going to eat, but when you're going to eat it. Don't wait till race day to see how your stomach's going to respond to this new gel that you want to try. I know some of them are expensive, guys, but you got to test it out. You got to test it on your long run. What's more expensive, going through a few gels or just throwing your whole race away because your stomach gets trashed? You got to try your gels. You got to try your electrolyte mix that you're going to have. You've heard me say this before. Tailwind used to be my jam, and now I can't use it anymore. And so I tried it again recently, and I was like, oh, maybe it'll work. Nope, it's not working. And so I have other things that I'm trying. Test it all out. And that's when people ask me, like, hey, what to use for electrolytes? I was like, man, you're going to have to try it. What to use for fuel? You're going to have to try it. Here's what works for me. You have to find what works for you. My stomach is my stomach. Your stomach is your stomach. And you know what? What works for you at the beginning of the race might not work for you at the end of the race, because just things happen. And so test everything out as much as you can, especially on those long runs. You've got to test it out. You got to see how your stomach does, and you've got to train your stomach to digest the stuff while you're running, while you're sweating, while you're moving, while your blood's restricted from your stomach because it's gone to your legs and the rest of your body to keep you moving. Real food, test that junk ahead of time. Man, people like all different kinds of things. I always talk about how I love my Starbucks sweet frappuccinos at night at the aid station because of the caffeine and the sweetness. You know what? If you heard the podcast with Arlen Glick, he gave it a try, but he didn't test it ahead of time. He tested it at a race. And you know what? He spent a lot of time in the porta potty. So just because something works for somebody, it might not work for somebody else. You got to test it ahead of time. So even the real food, test it ahead of time. Your electrolytes, test it ahead of time, and then figure out when to take it. Figure out when, what you're going to eat, how you're going to eat it, when you're going to eat it, what's the sequence you're going to do, and then test that out during your long runs on Saturdays or whenever you do your long run. Test that junk out. Also, not only a dress rehearsal what you're going to eat during the race, but what are you going to eat the night before the race? We'll test that out. Long run Saturday night, Saturday morning, Friday night. What am I going to eat? What am I going to eat for breakfast before my long run? I love that when, I talk to runners and they like, this is what I eat before race day. It works. Well, they got it down. It's good. They know what they eat because they've done it before, and they do it in the morning on the Saturday mornings before their long run. And that's what they need. And that's what works for them. So test that out. When are you going to take your first sip or drink? When are you going to start drinking? Early and often is usually what they say, especially if it's hot. Don't get behind on it. So practice that. Practice that so your body gets used to it. It's going to get the fluid it needs. It's going to get the gels. It's going to get the calories or whatever it needs. The long run is where you train your gut, because stomach issues are what ruin races for most runners. I've been there. Okay. Practice that junk. All right. Last thing. Practice your long run is to practice your pace and your mindset rehearsal. Where you figure that out. Every long run is a chance to dial in your pacing. If you go too hard, well, if you do that in a long run, well, you learn, okay, I'll suffer. I need to back off a little bit at the beginning. I need to figure it out. I know we're not running the full 100 miles or the full, but we can still figure that out. We can still learn from it. If you go out too hard, you learn from it. If you finish too strong, if you had too much energy left, well, maybe I should have gone a little. You just figure out the pacing. You learn to listen to your body. You kind of just remember what worked for you. This is where you learn to think like a finisher. You're out there. You're out there to learn to do the whole race, not just to start strong, not just to have a strong middle, but just to do the whole race and to get it done. And then, you got to rehearse those things like, when you get to the beginning. I love to tell I tell my runners at the beginning of a race, like at mile 1, depending on the length of the race, I usually say if it's 100 mile, like at mile 2, when mile 2 beeps on your watch, check in with yourself. Like, all right, I'm probably going too fast, because we all start off a little too fast. So settle in. Is this a pace I can sustain? Probably not. So settle in, find your pace, and let's do this. Get yourself settled down in for the long haul. And so you can practice that, because, the first mile is always a liar. It's either slow because your body's waking up, or it's fast because you're excited. Just settle in and learn to tell yourself, okay, you've been here before. When things get rough, you learn that in a long run. You practice that in a long run. All right, things get rough, but I know if I keep moving, I can come out of it. I can tell you that this morning I had a little over a 10 miler, and I was feeling some funkiness at mile 5. And I'm like, what is this? What is this funkiness in my left leg at mile 5? I don't, but I knew from experience, I just keep moving. And, a couple miles later, I was feeling fine. I was running great. It just had to work through it. Well, I've been here before. I had to just keep moving. And that's the other thing. You practice just telling yourself to keep moving forward. Some days, some long runs even are just fantastic. You feel like you're floating. You got the runner's high. Everything is beautiful. There's rainbows and butterflies and warm fuzzies, and your mind is always right, and everything is beautiful. And you finish your long run, and you come home, and your wife has food for you. You take a nap. It's a good day. And some days you get out there, and it's a struggle, man. You ride the struggle bus from mile 2 to 20, or mile 2 to 30. It's just hard, but you just keep moving forward, and you build that mental resilience from it. And you tell yourself, okay, this is the kind of day, this what this mile's giving me. I'm going to keep pushing. Maybe the next mile will be better. Maybe it won't, but it's just a run, and I can learn and build from it, and just be positive in the middle of it. That internal dialogue that you build in training, well, you're going to use that again when it really counts. during the race, if you hit that time, if you hit that space where it's hard and you gave up during training, or you didn't train like you were supposed to, you're not going to know how to handle it, or you're not going to have that inward stick to itiveness, that inward resilience to say, all right, I've been here, I'm going to keep moving, and so you'll practice it for when it really counts. And then here's a bonus tip, man. We can't always do that, but try to simulate your race day window. If your race starts at 6 a.m., don't wait till 10 o'clock to start your long run. Start at 6 a.m. Start early. I'm an early dude anyway. Wake up early, go through the motions, set your alarm, eat your normal breakfast, lace up, and go. That familiarity, it lowers the nerves later. Because race day, you're just going to go through those same motions you did every Saturday. Like, I'm doing the thing, I'm doing the thing. You might be at a hotel, you might be camping out, you might be away from home, but you can make your body as familiar with the process as possible. And then so here's the big takeaway, guys. Your long run, it isn't just miles on the legs. It's a preview of who you're going to be on race day. So don't treat it like just another workout. Show up. Dial that junk in, man. Take notes, man. Take note of what's working, what's not working, and practice finishing strong, because when the race day comes, you have already been there. All right? So, guys, this week, this is going to come out on a Wednesday, probably, if I get it done. It's going to come out on a Wednesday. Take your long run seriously. Just take it seriously. Just get out and just be intentional with it, because every step you rehearse now, it's one less thing you got to worry about later. Hope you guys are doing well. Talk soon. God bless. Bye-bye.